DOJ, and I guess we'll go through those and then release those as well. So anyway, the files are out, but again, others are questioning about reporting on it because there hasn't been a good chain of custody in the release. So there you go. It's a controversy we really didn't need. And we don't really need conservative broadcasters and social media people kind of going at each other. We got to, people need to stay united. So anyway, probably not the best way to do this one. We'll see what comes of it. Did you see the article by the Washington Post? The Washington Post last night leaked, as we reported on the air last night, that supposedly the IRS is going to be closing 120 offices. That's the new Trump administration is going to be closing 120 IRS offices. That, I guess, is something that Washington Post has seen. We're waiting for more details. This really begs the question, with all of the talk of shutting down IRS offices, with the Commerce Secretary reportedly saying out there in the press, yes, President Trump's ultimate goal is to shut down the IRS, and with the release of USAID, among also yesterday testimony, do we have that footage, Logan, from Congressman Tim Burchett? He's from our 2nd district here in Tennessee, U.S. Congressman. He had a committee hearing and detailed all the terrorist groups that your tax dollars have gone to. Some of the worst of the worst. I mean, a terrorist group is a terrorist group, but I guess there are varying degrees of how much terror they do and killing they do, right? But these are bad, bad, bad groups. And you guys today are on the job, many of you, working hard, earning your living for your family, paying taxes, only to have it go to perverts and terrorists. Listen to this.
Mr. Roman, are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Yes, sir.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
We have assisted al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Hamzi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kataib al-Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid.
Could you elaborate a little bit on the mechanisms in place that are to stop foreign aid from going to terrorist groups, and why are they not working if we have any in place? Sure. And I would note that these are, you notice, these are terrorist weaponry. You see some AKs, SKSs, some snipers, some clips, some clip carriers probably made in China, and I believe these are small landmines here beside right there.
Let's use Gaza as our case study. $2.1 billion in American taxpayers' money to Gaza since October 7th when Hamas invaded southern Israel. USAID money was going in terms of an emergency use authorization to try to go to parties that USAID formerly had a relationship with in the Gaza Strip. They had to have been vetted by OFAC. They should have been vetted against the special designated terror list from the State Department and from other Treasury organizations. Waivers were granted because they said that there was an emergency use to have that money come in to Gaza, thereby jettisoning the usual typical screening procedures. As a result, 90% of aid that was going from the United States by way of its agents in Gaza ended up in Hamas-controlled areas.
Okay, let's stop right
ridiculous.
There. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Essentially what the U.S.
$2.1 billion since October 7th going right into the pocket of Hamas. Now, I don't know. I'm just going to tell you what my opinion is and what I'm hearing. What I'm hearing is that people are saying, well, Donald Trump intends to shut down the IRS. His Commerce Secretary has said that. We have billions and billions and now trillions of dollars going to waste and fraud. And not just waste and fraud, going to criminal activity to terrorists, as you just heard. $2.1 billion just since October 7th of 2023 going to Hamas, your money. And what I'm hearing and what I'm monitoring is that there are lots and lots of Americans that will not be paying any federal taxes. For some of them, they're saying they're done. They're not paying federal taxes in this form to this IRS. They're done. They're out. And they're basically saying, come for me if you want. But you can't arrest all of us. We're out. We did not agree to be enslaved by the IRS, by the federal government. I thought slavery was outlawed. And there are lots of Americans I'm hearing that have no intentions of writing checks April 15th to the IRS. Now, there are others that have the money taken out of their bank accounts, out of their checks every 2 weeks. Now, I'm not telling you that you should do that. As for me, I'm going to pay my taxes because it's not a hill I'm really willing to die on, right? I'm too busy with too many things to get caught up in that. And it's just not something I'm willing to spend money and heartache and frustration on. I'm going to watch how it plays out. Until then, I'll pay my taxes. And you should probably do the same thing. That would be my advice, my opinion. But I guess what I'm trying to say is this not a natural reaction? Is this not a natural reaction when all of this waste, and more than waste, literally funding our own death and demise? And then you find out, what was it, Logan? $2 billion went to a group tied back to Stacey Abrams? And the revenue for that organization had been like $100? You got basically what sounds like to me money laundering and kickbacks. Didn't we have a federal judge this week making a ruling about President Trump and some of his policies? And wasn't it reported that his wife worked with one of these organizations that was getting all this money from the feds? Didn't we have a judge the other day himself that was tied to an NGO? The judge himself tied to an NGO that got lots and lots of money from the government, this NGO? Is this how the deep state's been buying off judges? That's my question. The level of criminality is so high. And with the talk of, hey, we eventually want to shut down the IRS. And with the talk of, yep, we're closing 120 IRS offices. And with all the fraud, with the natural reaction from many Americans, particularly those that are struggling to try to fund their companies and families and businesses, wouldn't many of them have a natural reaction saying, you know what, based on all this, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, and I'm done. I'm done. You know the old saying? When a man has nothing left to lose, he has nothing left to lose. Some people have plenty to lose, so they'll pay the taxes because they're afraid. There are others that don't have much to lose anymore. And whether that tax bill is $1,000 or $10,000, some of them are going to say, I'm out, I'm done. I'm so disgusted with how my federal government has mismanaged my money. They can't even run the FAA. Every day, we're seeing a near collision or a collision. And that's just one agency. And so the question is this what has been planned? Is this in other words, has all of this been done knowing that many, many, many American taxpayers are going to have this reaction? Or is this just a byproduct of, a policy that I agree with? Shutting down the IRS, exposing the corruption, exposing the fraud and the waste. I don't know. I don't know if this was part of it. That, hey, there's so many Americans now that are choosing not to pay federal taxes. We got to go ahead and just abolish it. I don't know. I have no idea what the thinking and strategy is. But I do know this. There are lots of Americans that I'm tracking through my work and research that have had enough. They're done. They're out. And then you got Florida. Florida is now working to eliminate property tax. Now, Logan, didn't we just have in Tennessee a committee that just passed, 2-7? Passed out a committee to eliminate property tax put it in our state constitution, and eliminate property tax in the state of Tennessee. We don't have state income tax. Now, we have corporate tax. Corporations pay taxes in Tennessee, but there's no personal income tax. We have, what is our sales tax, Logan, like 9.5% sales tax? So I don't know if they're going to raise the sales tax or, what they're going to do. But there's now a push in Tennessee to eliminate property tax. Well, here's what's going to happen real quick. Tennessee, Florida, some of these other states, they're going to start having real competition for who wants to move to these states and build a business and build a life and build a history and a heritage for their family. And those companies are going to up and they're going to go. And they're going to start spending money. Now, remember, the corporations pay corporate tax in Tennessee. So the employees won't, the individual business owners won't, their corporations will, but all of those people will consume. They're consumers. We got a battle for the pocketbook of Americans, and it's being waged by eliminating taxes and say, come over here, we're tax-free for the most part. Or when you are taxed, it's on your own consumption. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. All right, welcome back. Glad you're with us. Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com, worldviewradio.com. Don't forget, we're coming to Milwaukee, Lord willing, April 15th. That's a Tuesday night. That's tax day, by the way, April 15th. So if you are going to file your taxes, and again, that would be my advice to you, that you should do that. You get it done early and be with us 6:30. We moved it back to 6:30. 6:30 to 9:30, because we added in Aaron Lavarco, our man in Israel, a reporter on the ground. Providentially, turns out he's going to be in the States. And so we've added him in. And the tickets are free. They're going fast. We got hundreds of you now. I think we're 700 or more now registered. So again, if you want to get a ticket, they're free, but we need to have you registered so that we have enough seats for everybody. Worldviewtube.com/events. Worldviewtube.com/events. Okay. So please do that. We also today had to get 4,000 more business cards. Many of you asked for little business cards, and we made them double-sided, full color, talking about our program and how you can hear it and our network. And so 4,000 of those have gone out the door. Well, more than that, we had to order 4,000 more today. So again, if you want to get those packet of free cards to promote our broadcast here and pass them out to friends and let them know about it, you can do that by going to worldviewstore.com. Okay. Let's go over to Aaron. There's a lot in the news today, but let's get right over to Aaron in Israel, because last night I saw Red Cross trucks coming. I think they were coming back in to Israel after going to Gaza to pick up deceased hostages. And then, of course, today we also have report of a terrorist attack in Israel. I don't know if anyone's been killed, but I think someone, a young person, is in critical condition. Let's get an update from Aaron. Aaron Lavarco joins us. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, Brandon. Good to be with you.
You too, my friend. So what's the latest here on these hostages?
Well, another sad day for Israel. 4 hostages came back, 4 of our sons. 3 of them were killed in captivity, meaning they were captured on October the 7th, and they were killed while they were in captivity. And then the eldest one, Shlomo, he was actually killed on October the 7th. Check this out. They saw him dead, but they still took his body. They still took his body because they know how much we value not just life, but the memory of our people. So they took his body. I don't know what they did with that body, how they kept it, but all four came back today. And one of the daughter of one of them said, yeah, it will bring some kind of closure, but not until all the captives are back. And then she said, not even that will bring closure. And we knew what she was meaning by that, meaning once we get rid of these terrorists out of our neighborhood, out of our backyard, this brings to a completion, Brennan, stage one. Remember about 7 weeks ago, we were at the very beginning of the talks about, a ceasefire. We're going to now go into these stages, 3 stages. Right now, stage one is complete, although Hamas are accusing us of breaking the ceasefire because we apparently have to pull out of what's called the Philadelphia corridor, which is the corridor between between Gaza and Egypt. And that's crucial. We are keeping our eye on that Gaza-Egyptian border. We know that if we don't keep our eye on it, that our enemies are going to find ways of smuggling weapons from Egypt. Sadly, it's been discovered that the son of the Egyptian president, Sisi, he is the national security officer. He has been taking some nice cash under the table by allowing terrorists to bring weapons in. So we are not doing that. We are not pulling out of the Philadelphia route, which Hamas is saying this is a breaking of the ceasefire agreement. There are supposed to be the stage 2 beginning this Shabbat, this Saturday. But whether it'll go ahead or not, we don't know. In the meantime, there are terrorist attacks going on, and Hamas are behind them, and Hamas are praising them, celebrating them, not just Hamas, but the Palestinian people, including children who are out on the streets.
Well, here's one headline. I had it up here. Where did it go? Here we go. No, let's see. Get rid of that. There we go. At least 14 wounded in combined terror ramming, stabbing attack in central Israel. Terrorists hit police car, attempted stabbing with screwdriver before being gunned down. Oh, wait a minute. The terrorist is identified as a Palestinian illegal resident. Huh. Aaron?
Well, that's not surprising. Let me tell you, that's like 10 minutes away from where I lived, in a place called Pardes Chana Karkor in the Sharon Plain area. Honestly, it's the most peaceful, loving, kind of hippie town. It's famous for the hippies, the laid back, peaceful, the most sweetest people. And of all the places, it happened here at a junction between Pardes Chana, Hadera, and Harish. Apparently, he drove into the bus stop, and then he stopped. He got out, and he attacked people with a knife, with a screwdriver, got back into his car, and then we pursued him. And even through the pursuit, he was resisting, but finally he was eliminated. But by the way, I think I've reported on this before. If you travel throughout Israel, you will see in front of most bus stops on major roads, in fact, I would say all, where this happened wasn't a major road, but on the major roads in front of every bus stop, there are metal or concrete pillars. We have spent billions of dollars putting these concrete and metal barriers in front of the bus stop for this very reason. Who would have thought that we would have had to do it in a town like Pardes Chana Karkor? Unbelievable. That they go for our weak points and they find them. And that's why it's so difficult to trust in even genuinely innocent people, Brandon. That's why we have to keep genuinely innocent people out. And of course, even the Palestinians and the world, they condemn us by saying, what about all the innocent Palestinians? How do we know who's innocent and who is not? That is the problem.
Yeah, indeed. And now we're finding out that the IDF's October 7th probes failed to pinpoint accountability for military failures. I don't know. I don't know how this is done, but isn't this the fox guarding the hen house? Did we really expect the Israeli Defense Force to come down and condemn their own? I mean, why was there not an independent organization investigating the IDF and military?
This is very, very sensitive issue. But I tell you, the public, they are demanding blood here because blood was spilt. They are demanding it. Now, the two key people that the public now and the committees who are doing the investigation, there are some committees, all of their eyes are on the head, that man that we saw in the picture, Chezi Halevi, the chief of staff, that's the man. He stepped down now, and in about a few days, on March the 4th, we will get our new general. He will take office. But Chezi Halevi, all eyes are on him, and all eyes are on Ron Lerner, the head of the Shabach. Now, the Shabach, they're kind of the equivalent of the FBI, the internal security. All eyes are on these two people. Now, I've been reading that both of these men are not playing ball. They are not cooperating. And the inquiry teams are saying without their cooperation, it's going to be impossible because these men know a lot of information. And they are saying we've already got a lot of information, but without the cooperation of these two men, it's going to be very, very difficult. So pressure is on them, but we've got to get to the bottom of it. We've got to get to the root of it, but who knows? Time will tell.
So let me ask you, any more thoughts on Cardinal Pizzaballa? Any more? Have you heard more? Because folks here are very intrigued by this guy. We're continuing to get emails and people saying that was one of the most fascinating interviews you and Dr. Lindstedt did on, and that nobody else is really covering this guy. Now, I did get a report today that Pope Francis appears to be improving, but he's not long for this world. He's very, very advanced in age and serious health crisis going on. So I don't think it's going to be something that drags on forever. But what kind of things are you hearing, or did you have more time to research into Cardinal Pizzaballa?
Well, for the meantime, it seems that the pizza is on hold because there is improvement in the Pope. But what we haven't heard yet is that the 12 men, the 12 cardinals who have been chosen, and out of those 12, one will be the chosen. And for the viewers who are not aware, this man, Pizzaballa, who resides in Jerusalem, people, if you haven't heard, out of all the 12 cardinals, he is being slated as the number one most probable to be chosen. Now, I haven't heard anything more, Brandon, since we talked. We're in the waiting game. We're in the, it's not for sure that he's going to be chosen, but we're waiting to see. And I don't know whether they are going to choose before the Pope departs. So I'm not sure the exact protocol of the Vatican, but if he's improving, maybe they'll defer it. But the moment that they see that, he's on his last legs, which I thought the other day, it seemed like he was, they reported he was in critical condition. So we're waiting. We're just waiting to see what happens.
Well, one headline says that the IDF is in chaos. IDF slow response on day of Hamas attack due to chaos. Commander's denial. IDF sources, it was like we had no legs or eyes. We're just trying to figure out where to run.
Yeah, the this is the big question mark. There are many question marks, but the big question marks is where were the IDF? There were girls that were bordering patrolling the border. There were girls, and some of those girls died. Some of them were kidnapped, and for that reason, actually, the parents of some of these girls who now serve in that unit or who are being called up into that unit, they don't want to send their daughters out there. But the big question is, where was the IDF? And this is so the word chaos, Brennan, a big word. Let's go back to before October the 7th. Our nation was at loggerheads. We were so divided. We were killing each other, or not killing each other. We were stabbing each other in the back. We were infighting, quarrel, massive division over judicial reforms, wanting to overthrow the government, protests by the hundreds of thousands. The recruitment of religious people into the army, the religious were going out protesting. It seems that the only way that we're somewhat unified is, sadly, to go to war. And this is nothing new. I mean, even a lot of families in the world. Sure.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. All right, welcome back to Worldview Radio, our website, worldviewradio.com. We're getting ready to open the phone lines up here in just a minute. Worldviewradio.com. Aaron, I want to talk real quick about a great article. I don't know if you have heard me say this. I've said it many, many times over the years. I'm more Jewish than most Jews in America. Have you ever heard me say that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And I still believe I am more Jewish than most Jews in America. In fact, I introduced you to one of my Jewish friends, and she has said to me when the first day I met her, because we started talking about Israel and what's going on, she was so shocked, all I knew. And she said, "You're Jewish, you know that, right? You're Jewish, you know that, right?" And I laughed. I said, "Well, I am more Jewish than most Jews in America, right?" Well, I don't know how people feel about my saying that, or how some Jewish people feel about my saying that, but I came across a great article today, and I put it up at worldviewreport.com. And here's the headline from Israel 365. Are Christian Zionists, that's me, are Christian Zionists, and let me define Zionist for anyone that's new. We believe in the historical, Zionist believes that in the historical right of the land for the Jews. A Christian Zionist believes in both the historical and biblical right of the land for the Jews. And so this headline, are Christian Zionists more Jewish than liberal anti-Israel Jews? Now, it's an article written by Adam Berkowitz. And he wrote the article, and as you scroll down the article, he's talking about all the Jews in America and where they stand. He said, but connecting with Christian Zionists has brought this into question. And he was talking about, what makes someone a Jew? What is the definition of someone that's Jewish? And he was going through the different groups and papers to define what's a Jew. I feel more at home sitting with Christians who love Israel than with liberal Jews who reject Israel and support political agendas that threaten the promised land. My Christian friends share many of my dearest values, share my Bible, and share my love for the most precious thing in my life outside of my faith, or outside of my family, the land of Israel. Liberal Jews share none of that and have a painful disdain for all these precious things. How can I call them brother? As Rabbi Walecki highlighted, October 7th made the issue of Israel as an aspect of Jewish identity unavoidable. While politics is a matter of debate, Israel's survival is not a political issue. American Jews can vote for Democrats and reject Trump, but they cannot reject Israel. He says, or can they? Rabbi Walecki wrote his editorial in response to a coalition of Reform rabbis who took out full-page ads in the New York Times condemning Trump's plan to allow Gazans to relocate. The ad accused Israel of ethnic cleansing. So here are Jewish rabbis playing right into the hand of Hamas and the liberals, saying Israel's involved in ethnic cleansing. This week, a group of Reform rabbis wrote a letter to senators asking them to reject the nomination of Mike Huckabee as the U.S. ambassador to Israel. They objected to his rejection of the two-state solution and, ironically, his faith-based love of Israel. These Jews referred to Israel as the, quote, occupation, end quote, a term that denies the history and the entire Torah. When I wrote about an article about this, I compared these Jewish leaders to the spies in Exodus who rejected the land of Israel, thereby condemning an entire generation to wander in the desert and die. It also ignored the Jewish blood spilled 500 days ago and the Jews still in captivity, raising the question of whether these Jews are still our brothers. As Rabbi Walecki concluded, quote, their betrayal goes beyond misguided politics or naive desire for peace. While Jewish blood still stains the earth of southern Israel, they have chosen to stand with those who spilled it. He says, the quote, they have forfeited not only their right to speak in our name, but their place among our people. Let their so-called solidarity, let them take their so-called solidarity elsewhere. The Jewish people will survive without them, as we have survived all of those who betrayed us before. Rabbi Walecki said, what so many Jews in Judea and Samaria feel about, are too afraid to say, is now clear that liberal Jews only support Israel if it conforms to their liberal political agenda. And Israelis now find themselves at odds with their Jewish brothers in the U.S. who espouse beliefs that endanger our existence. While Christians are still strangers who it is difficult for us to trust, they are our greatest allies, bound to us in faith in the God of Israel. So, Rabbi Walecki's article raises a painful question that has been whispered at Shabbat tables in Judea and Samaria for years. Can a Jew reject Israel, choose liberal agendas that threaten our existence spiritually and physically, and still be defined as Jews? Honestly, asking the question was painful. I'm not brave enough to put words to answer I know is true, but admitting this, I'm forced to watch painfully as my Jewish brothers sail off over the horizon. At the same time, this emphasizes how dear my Christian Zionist friends are. They are a lifeline, standing by Israel in our time of need, when our Jewish brothers have turned their backs on us and joined the enemy. To be candid, I am uncomfortable with this new alliance. Even the most Zionist Christians see me as an unfulfilled Jew for not accepting Jesus. We do not discuss our vastly different versions of what will be at the end of days. I condition my friendship on their setting aside the Christian mandate to spread the gospel and proselytize. They are much more dear to me than they were 2 years ago. So for now, a friendship with those conditions are based on love of Israel is enough. What do you make of that, Aaron? Do you have us? Dalton?
Okay, you're back.
Okay, we're back. Sorry
Just
about
now.
that. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. That was weird. We had to disconnect the Comrex and reconnect it to have a signal. So sorry about that, guys. We got something. So what do you make of this article?
Well, Brandon, this is kind of the area of, I love this topic. It's kind of my expertise area because I talk about it all the time, especially when I'm on tours. I think the key to this whole issue is not the word Jewish. It's the word Zionist. Because you can be any kind of Jew. I've said this a number of times. You can be a secular Jew. You can be an Orthodox Jew. You can be an ultra-Orthodox. We have many different kinds of Jews. Orthodox Jews, ultra-Orthodox, Reformed Jews, Messianic Jews, pineapple Jews, orange Jews, you name it. But not every Jew is a Zionist. And that's the key. Whereas Christians, they are. And I don't even know if many Christians understand really what it means to be a Zionist, meaning it is the belief for the ancient Jew who has the right to return to his ancient homeland, Zion. And what does Zion represent? It represents Jerusalem. It represents the tabernacle, the Shekinah, the glory, the Messiah, the sacrifices, all of that, the uniting of the 12 tribes. So, you know, I'm planning on writing a book. I really need a sponsor here, if anyone's out there. And you know what I want to call the book? I want to call it How Jewish Should Christians Be? How Jewish? And as that rabbi said, it's a big word, that word Jewish. You know, how do you define what is a Jew? And I would agree with you, Brandon. I mean, I'm not offended by you saying I'm more Jewish than a lot of secular Jews. I know what you mean by that. And I would agree with that. I mean, I've got members of my family, without mentioning any names, but they are totally secular. That's what I used to live, a very secular life. So you know, many Christians who are plugged into the Hebrew scriptures, to the Hebrew Messiah, the Jewish Messiah. That's really all what it means to be a Christian Zionist, whereas so many Jews around the world, they are just so secular and assimilated.
Yes.
This was the big problem during the times of the Greeks and the Romans. When Alexander the Great ruled the world, he brought in the Greek language, the Greek culture. That's where they got the Septuagint. They translated the Hebrew Bible into Greek. And it split the Jewish community in half, because the Pharisees, they were very strict. They said, we must not allow the Greek influence. That's actually one of the main reasons why the Pharisees were so strict, if you understand the culture behind it. But people like the Sadducees and others, they totally adopted the Greek ways, the Greek names. Even Josephus Flavius, that's a total Greek name. His real name was Yosef ben Matityahu, but he adopted this Greek name. So it's a huge topic. I love that topic. And I could talk.
Well, you know
for
what?
hours.
Someone just communicated with us here in our listening audience and said, if Bill Clinton can be the first black president, as he was often called, Brennan, you can be a Jewish talk show host in America.
Totally. We'll have to find a Hebrew name for you, Brennan.
Well, you know, Marty Getz calls me the little rabbi. Just that's been his nickname from the stage for years. The little rabbi.
I like that.
There you go. All right, Logan, can you come take this again, please? All right, let's get ready for some phone calls. 1-800-347-9829. 1-800-347-9829. Again, 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions. 1-800-347-9829. Here we have another report today. The IAEA, this is the international group that monitors, you know, like they monitored looking for weapons of mass destruction in like Iraq and stuff. Now, of course, they've been dealing with Iran and their centrifuges and nuclear program for years. They're saying Iran has enough uranium for 6 nuclear bombs. I don't know. I kind of get tired of hearing this, because Peter Pry, the former CIA analyst who used to sit at this desk, was saying Iran had a nuclear weapon a long time ago. Does it really matter if they have 2 or 6? How many does it take to destroy Israel, right?
That's right, Brennan. You know, when I was in the States 8 months ago, and I came into your studio, when I was in California, I was speaking to a group of Jewish people not believers, not Messianic. One of them was Israeli. He worked at the nuclear plant in Israel, in the Negev, at a place called Dimona. And he said he was an elderly man. He was in at least his 80s. He said back in the 1960s, they were discussing that Iran probably have a nuclear bomb back then. So he said, you can guarantee by now they probably do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, you can. All right, 1-800-347-9829. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions on any of these topics, 1-800-347-9829. Again, 1-800-347-9829. Let me just remind you guys that Crosstalk comes up at the top of the hour with your host, Jim Schneider. That's on well over 100 terrestrial stations nationwide. And if you don't have one of their powerful stations, many of them 50,000, 100,000 watt stations in your market, you can certainly tune in by going to vcy.org. V as in Victor, vcy.org. Again, vcy.org. All right, we come back. We'll go straight away to your calls at 1-800-347-9829, 1-800-347-9829. Aaron's website is lighttothenationsministry.com, light to the nations, plural, lighttothenationsministry.com. Ours, worldviewradio.com. We'll be right back. Hello, I'm Brandon House. Melissa and I have been taking Bella Grace, this powerful elixir, since last fall, 2023. The results have been amazing. My hands would crack and bleed, deep cuts and cracks every winter for years. No matter what we did, we couldn't get them to stop cracking and bleeding. This year, I took Bella Grace, no cracking, no bleeding. My acid reflux, gone. Haven't had to take a Pepsid. My hair growth, the last 2 times I had my hair cut, the lady had to use thinning shears on my hair. That's amazing. We've also received incredible feedback from you, our listening audience, and the impact it's had for you. This is loaded with astaxanthin. That's a powerful antioxidant. Collagen, but top grade collagen. Studies show 95% of it is being absorbed in the body because of the way they develop it. Then we have something called cat's claw. That's an anti-inflammatory from a vine in Peru. It's the bark, and it's an anti-inflammatory. There are about 80 clinical trials on Bella Grace. Please get a subscription now and save. MelissaHouseBG.com. All right, welcome back. Well, again, apparently the binders, the social media darlings all got at the White House and were out there on camera posting all the videos of them holding a 3-ring binder is worthless. The reports are it's absolutely nothing. That it's basically a phone book of what, Logan? Just various phone numbers and his phone book. So Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says the Epstein list is going to be released and much more is coming. There is currently a war raging within. The resistance within will be beaten and the truth will be revealed. I am so proud of AG Pam Bondi and FBI Director Cash, both warriors. She goes on to say, don't believe anyone who tries to sow discord or doubt, even some members of Congress and those you think are on our side. The information will be released directly to the people. So they go. And apparently another congresswoman saying they don't even have these files. So we're the committee investigating this and we don't even have these files yet. So apparently what has been released to the binders isn't really much of anything. So nobody's, I guess, missing out yet. So we'll keep you posted on that. All right, let's go straight away, as I said, to the phones. Let's start out with Lily in Arizona. Your thoughts, your comments, your questions today. And I guess one of my questions would be, as I said, what are your thoughts about the IRS closing 120 offices? Not the IRS, really, the Trump administration. And what do you make of billions of dollars going to Hamas after October 7th, trillions going to waste? How do you feel as you're gathering together all your receipts and paperwork, many of you by now, weeks ago, having turned all this over to your accountant? What are your thoughts on all this? 1-800-347-9829. Lily in Arizona, line 3. Hi, ma'am. Thanks for calling.
Hi, Brennan.
Hi.
Thank you to you and Aaron for addressing the subject of the Messianic Judaism and Zionism. It's really a powerful thing that people know about those issues, but it's so necessary because so many churches teach replacement theology, and I think that's where we end up in the struggles of having the Christian community understand the need to know their Hebraic roots of their Christian faith. I was fortunate to study Messianic Judaism for 10 years with a Messianic church here in Tucson, and have always loved learning the root words in the Hebrew or the Greek, but it is such a critical time because we know that Israel is God's timepiece prophetically, and we just have to continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. I applaud you both on the work that you're doing. Thank you so much. And a little P.S., Brandon, I have attended concerts at that First E Church and seen the majesty of the Tucson mountains and the saguaro cactuses. And yes, it's a beautiful
So they still have
spot.
they still have the floor to ceiling windows that look over the foothills.
Yes, and I believe it's called Journey Church now. And I just recently took my granddaughter to a country rap Christian concert there. But when I worked in radio, we used to have concerts there, and it was fun. I'm not sure that I saw you perform with your piano, but Aaron, I pray for you as you also are there, boots to the ground, and giving us information on the spot. Thank you. God bless you both.
Lily.
I think Aaron has a question for you, Lily.
Are you at the Zion City? Are you at the Zion City Church in Tucson?
No, sir. I was at Beth Star Shalom for 10 years, but the Lord pulled me into a church I'm outside of the city now, so I'm in a fellowship closer to my home.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a strong community here, and the
reason I ask is April the 4th. I'm going to be in Tucson, so maybe write me an email.
April 4th. She asked when. April 4th.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yes, I would love to show you around our beautiful city. I've lived here for 50 years, but where you're going to be at Zion what?
Zion City Church in
yes.
Ruth Roth Road. It's a Messianic congregation.
Ruth Roth Road.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
April 4th, you said?
April 4th.
Correct, yes.
Terrific. I will be posted on that one. I'll put it in my calendar. God bless you as you come to the desert.
Excellent.
You know what? I have to share this. Tucson and Jerusalem are 1 degree difference in latitude.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Thank you so much, and I look forward to meeting you.
Thank you, Lily.
Likewise. God bless
Aaron,
you both.
You too, Lily. Thank you. Are you posting any of your speaking where you're going on your website?
No, but I should.
You should.
Things haven't been finalized yet, but probably in the next week I'll do that.
Okay, good. Let's go to line 2, Jeff. Line 2. Hi, Jeff.
Well, hello. Good afternoon. We're looking forward to having you in Wisconsin in a few weeks.
Thank you, Jeff.
I
appreciate
it. To it.
Have warm weather. Have warm weather, Jeff.
In gratitude, because yesterday I really enjoyed the discussion you had with your friend John about the Catholic Church and the Jesuits and the papacy and all that. It really brought joy to my heart because the irony is in a Jesuitical mission, they have what they call intellectual rigor. And you're not shy from intellectual rigor. And I just wanted to thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Thank you. The Jesuits is a popular topic among a certain group of people. Whenever I bring up the Jesuits, boy, their ears light up. Their ears perk up. They want to hear about that. And of course, if you read Malachi Martin, then you realize what he, as a former Jesuit, was warning about. You can see it all happening right now in front of us. Let's see. Let's go to Dave in Arizona, line 1. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Brandon. How you doing?
Good, thank you, Dave.
And hello to Aaron. And anyway, I wanted to make a comment on how Jewish should we be, or how Hebrew should we be. And I was thinking we should keep all 10 commandments from our Elohim that he gave us, and especially Ezekiel 20-12, which says, Moreover, I gave them my Sabbaths to be a sign between me and them, that I might know that.
Yep. But before we run out of time, let me say, David, that the only one of the new 10 Commandments not repeated in the New Testament is that one about the Sabbath, because in the New Testament church we see them going to church right after the resurrection, over and over, and the apostles make it very clear It has to do with observance of the resurrection. 15-second response, Aaron?
Well, yeah, they did continue to go to the synagogue on the Sabbath. They did continue, but they also celebrated the first day of the week, the resurrection day, the day of the Lord. Both days they commemorated.
And of course, the Bible tells us not to be compelled by feasts or festivals or new moons. Here's what I say. Gather together with like-minded believers and exercise your spiritual gifts for the edification and equipping of the saints. Amen. Take care.
Amen.
And we're back with Aaron out of Israel. Aaron, I just don't know. We get these people that call in that are so adamant on the Sabbath. I'm like, why do you pick this as a hill to die on all the time for the New Testament church? I mean, it's like you're beating a dead horse. The Lord is not concerned what day you go. The Lord is clearly concerned today in the New Testament church era, this dispensation, that we're just gathering together with like-minded believers, as I said before the break there, exercising our spiritual gifts for the edification, equipping of the saints, and the training of the saints for the purpose of the fulfillment of the Great Commission. And it really is like Dave calls in quite a bit and really wants to hammer that issue every time. What do you find among your Messianic friends?
A bit of both. I get people that they're, like Dr. Arnold Fruchtenbaum, for example.
Right.
He's totally liberated and free. He doesn't really make it an issue. And he's very scholarly. He
has said at this very desk. He's said this very desk.
Right. Yeah. And then other people that, they see it as very important. And actually, I think one of the main reasons, Brandon, why they are so charged up about it is because it has crept into the church as a form of replacement theology. And let me explain quickly that the church has replaced the Sabbath with the first day of the week. They call it Sunday. And that's why I made it clear earlier. I said, if you look at the early church, they didn't throw out the Sabbath. They continued to go to the synagogue on the Sabbath, but they also added another day, the first day of the week, the resurrection day of the Lord. But they didn't replace that first day of the week with Sabbath. The Sabbath continued to be worshipped. And that's what I think the church is missing out on, where they think, okay, my Sunday is the Sabbath. No, it's not. It's an important day, but it doesn't replace the Sabbath. The Sabbath is the Sabbath. The first day of the week is the first day of the week.
But those folks that continue to go to temple on the Sabbath were Jewish, right?
Correct.
So for Gentiles, there's no compulsion. There was no compulsion for that, right?
No, it's not an issue of compulsion, Brendan. It's an issue of recognition. Recognizing that the Sabbath, remember, even before the Jewish people got the Sabbath, the first mention of the Sabbath is after creation. God himself rested on the Sabbath. So it is a sanctified day, even before the Jewish people got it. So it's applicable for Jews and Gentiles.
Okay. So do we have a history of a lot of Gentiles who become believers then honoring the Sabbath as well, along with their Jewish friends?
Absolutely, for sure, definitely.
So how do you see this today? Do you see it as an issue of freedom? Is this one of those gray areas of freedom, or do you see this as people who aren't doing it are sinning?
Yeah, no, I don't see it as if people don't do it, they're sinning. I see it more as they're missing out. They're missing out on a blessing. Like the Lord said, the Sabbath was given for man. And it's like the feasts of the Lord, the same thing, the feasts of the Lord. I always think that the Gentile church are missing out on a blessing when they don't celebrate the feasts of the Lord. It's not a matter of they should. You quoted the key verse, Colossians 2:12, where Paul says, let's not get into arguments about new moon, Sabbath, feasts. These are all shadows. The reality is the Messiah. So they are all shadows, but there still is a blessing when we celebrate. That's the main reason I'm coming to the States in March and April. I've been invited to lead a couple of Passover Seders. And so that's what I'm doing. Now, it's been replaced by what the Gentile church calls Easter. But in essence, The root is Passover, which is a biblical feast of the Lord. So again, to sum up, it's not a case that the Gentile or Jewish church should keep the Sabbath and the festivals. It's more of an invitation. The Lord is inviting us, and there's a blessing when we partake, and when we don't. I always get a sense when I don't that I'm just missing out on a blessing. That's all.
Great. Glad to get that perspective. Let me ask you one more before we close. I know of a well-known pastor in California, and Arnold Fruchtenbaum deals with this in some of his books, who has been very, very critical of messianic churches and why they're wrong. And I'm like, dude, you have so many problems in your own life, you personally, and your own family and your own church. You know, you want to sit around and smack the messianic churches? Quick comment.
Well, listen, Brandon, we don't know his experiences. I've also had a few bad experiences as well, because there are some very legalistic.
Right, but he's acting like we shouldn't be dividing between messianic churches and the Christian churches. And I'm like, if a group of believers, messianic believers, want to go and honor that history and heritage, I think they have the freedom in Christ to do that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Paul said to the Jew, I became as a Jew.
Exactly. All right, thank you guys. Take care.